in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the Locker Room and Voice of the People television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not 20 minutes off, with the sport.
And it's Hakim Ziyech who puts the
A very good afternoon to you and welcome to the Media News and Voice of the People television. I am David Edwin. First, the headlines. INEC sets 2027 election timetable despite Electoral Act delay. Senate moves to raise federal government's revenue shares. Troops destroy Iswap's camp in Timbuktu Triangle. Bandits kill police officer, 4 others in Benue State. Nigeria's military aircraft fleet ranks 54th globally. Man dies trying to save goat from well in Oyo State. In business, Naira surges against the US dollar. In the world of sports, Super Falcons open camp February the 20th. In entertainment, legendary gospel music icon Ron Kenoly dies at 81. And now the news in full. Despite delays in the passage of the Amendment Electoral Act, the Independent National Electoral Commission says it is ready for 2027 general elections. INEC Chairman Professor Josh Amopitan told civil society groups in Abuja that the Commission has finalized the election timetable and schedule of activities. While some items may be affected if the National Assembly takes longer to pass the law, Amopita said INEC will, for now, rely on the existing act to guide its preparations. Meanwhile, the Senate has begun moves to amend the 1999 Constitution to increase the federal government's share of revenue from the Federation account. Lawmakers say the current formula no longer reflects the center's responsibilities. Under the existing formula, the federal government gets 52.68%, the state, 36 states share 27.72%, and the 774 local councils get 20.6%. Senator Sunday Karimi, who sponsored the bill, said the adjustment is needed to fund federal roads and bolster efforts against banditry and terrorism. The bill, which has passed its first reading, aims to revise revenue allocation provisions in the Constitution. Karimi expressed confidence that a higher federal share would strengthen Nigeria's capacity to address insecurity and infrastructural challenges. And now to some security matters. Troops of Operation Hadinkai have destroyed 3 Islamic State West African province detention facilities deep in the Timbuktu Triangle, killing 32 fighters. Lieutenant Colonel Sani Uba, media officer for the operation, said the camps were located in Gujba, Yobe, and had long been used to hold abducted civilians. The offensive part of operations, Desert Sanity 5, marks a significant penetration of terrorist hideouts previously considered hard to reach. The facility would hold up to 300 captives. Sustained pressure from troops forced the militants to flee, allowing more than 70 captives to escape communities, including Goniri, Burentai, and Mandaragiru. Among the 32 Iswap fighters killed were 2 senior commanders and 3 unit leaders, with others injured. The troops then demolished the camps to prevent their reuse. The military says the operation is a major blow to Iswap, weakening their ability to detain civilians, enforce compliance, and raise funds through ransom. Elsewhere, the Benue Police Command has confirmed the killing of a mobile officer and 4 civilians by armed bandits in Abande Kwande local government area of the state. Police spokesperson DSP Edet Udeme confirmed the incidents in a statement, adding that the command extends its condolences to the victims' families and the Abande community. She also assured the public that efforts are underway to apprehend the perpetrators and restore peace within the area. In a related development, 10 people were reportedly killed by bandits in renewed attacks on the Woro and Nuku communities in Kaima local government area of Kwara State. The state government, through a statement by Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak's chief press secretary, Rafiu Ajakai, confirmed the deaths. Governor Abdulrazak mourned the victims, noting that security forces are ramping up counter-terrorism efforts in the region. Moving on, Nigeria's military aircraft fleet totaled 159 units in 2026, ranking the country's 54th in the world, according to the Global Firepower Military Aircraft Fleet Air Strength Report. The fleets, spanning fixed wing and rotary wing aircraft, reflects Nigeria's overall air power capabilities. The Nigerian Air Force remains central to national defense, supporting counterterrorism, surveillance, troops mobility, and air support operations. The report notes an estimated 87% readiness rate, showing strong operational availabilities. The fleet focuses on internal security and rapid deployment rather than long-range power projection. It includes 14 fighter jets, 24 attack aircrafts, 12 transport planes, 28 trainers, and 12 special mission aircraft for surveillance and reconnaissance. Rotary wing platforms dominate with 69 helicopters, including 15 attack helicopters. The fleet currently lacks aerial refueling aircraft, limiting operational range, but its structure prioritizes versatility for domestic security operations. In another development, management and staff of the People's Democratic Party and the People's Democratic Institute have reaffirmed their loyalty to the Tanimu Turaki-led National Working Committee. In a joint statement in Abuja, some staff said they would not recognize any leadership other than the NWC elected at the party's national convention in Ibadan, Oyo State. Describing themselves as custodian of the PDP Secretariat, the staff said the Turaki-led NWC was validly elected in line with the party's constitution and approved by the legitimate organs. They dismissed recent conflicting court rulings from Ibadan and Abuja, insisting that leadership and convention matters are internal party affairs, citing Supreme Court precedents. The staff said the convention was legally convened by the National Executive Committee at the 101 meeting on July the 24th, 2025, and that INEC was duly notified and present in line with the Electoral Act. They also faulted attempts to impose a caretaker committee, noting that the PDP constitution makes no provision for such. The statement urged party members nationwide to remain resolute as the party prepares for the 2027 general elections. In a rather sad story, a 45-year-old man has died while attempting to rescue his goat from a deep well in the Mokola area of Saki, Oyo State. The Oyo State Fire Services Agency said the man became trapped after entering the well and was unable to come out. The agency's chairman, Maruf Akiwande, confirmed the incident, adding that firefighters later recovered the man's lifeless body. Akiwande warned the public against entering wells, noting that the practice is dangerous and can lead to serious injuries or death. You're still watching the Midday News right here on Voice of the People Television. We'll go straight to the analysis segment of the news. And joining us now to make sense of these stories and more in the studio with us is Barrister Darlington Agumo. Barrister Darlington is a legal practitioner right here in Nigeria and also a public and political affairs analyst and commentator. Barrister, a very good afternoon to you and thank you for joining the conversation this afternoon.
Good afternoon, David. And how are you?
I'm fine, very well, thank you, Barrister. How are you doing as well?
Okay.
All right, Barrister, let's go to some political party matters this afternoon. Interestingly, the People's Democratic Party and the People's Democratic Institute has reaffirmed their loyalty to the Tanimu Turaki-led National Working Committee, of course, pledging allegiance to them. Now, that, again, is at the backdrop of the court ruling coming from Ibadan about the fact that the Turaki-led PDP leadership is not the legal one. What's your position with this particular conversation, Barrister? Looking at the fact that these staffs that works in the National Secretariat of the PDP are saying we are loyal to no other person than the Turaki-led PDP leadership.
As long as the court has pronounced, the best thing is to obey the court judgment or decision.
Even with a conflicting court decision, Barrister?
Which one is the higher court here? It is the higher court that you should obey his judgment and not the lower court.
Okay.
That's the truth. If two courts are giving judgment on the same issue, you should look at the courts and the authorities, the jurisdictions. And so, I don't think after the Supreme Court has spoken, any other court, in fact, going to any other court with the same matter will amount to foolishness.
Now, Barrister, help Nigerians make sense of this situation. The part where internal party affairs, citing the Supreme Court's precedents now on political parties, is there the possibility that the courts giving judgments now, even after the Supreme Court's ruling on party internal affairs, is it a possibility that that is still going to play a major role should any of the leadership of the PDP maybe it constitutes another convention that brings a presidential candidate? Would that still come into play, Barrister?
Look, this idea that the court cannot intervene in the internal affairs of a party.
That's the Supreme Court judgment.
That does not include when it involves criminality or forgery or misrepresentation. You cannot commit all these things and now tell me that the court should not intervene. I don't think so. So, PDP should follow what the Superior Court have said so that they can move forward. Any other person or any other distractions is not welcomed. Mr. Makinde and his other PDP stalwarts who have now come to the realization that they need an opposition should make sure that things are put in place so that they can become that opposition that Nigerians are looking for.
Now, Barrister, the PDP is saying that their convention was legally convened. I mean, looking at the fact that they had also, according to that statement, that they also had an INEC official present and they were notified in that particular convention. So, as it stands, the INEC, that of course is the electoral body, is recognizing a particular faction of the PDP and then court orders are coming against that particular convention. How much of a lacuna are we going to be experiencing when it comes to information as regarding internal crisis within a political party?
INEC have no choice than to obey what the court have said. INEC have no choice at all. They cannot be above our court or above our laws. There is to conduct election. That is the responsibility of INEC, to conduct general election in a free and fair manner. And so any other thing outside this is null and void.
Interesting. Well, I like the part that we've brought in INEC into the system. Now let's jump to the major story of conversation. As it stands, Barrister, the new INEC chair, Josh Amupiton, has said that INEC is very ready for the 2027 general election. In fact, he did say that the timetable is ready against the backdrop of the fact that there is conversation surrounding electoral reforms within the Senate. Barrister, as it stands right now, should the Senate have any other reform to add up to what is existing? Would INEC change her timetable, or are we going to find an election postponement or time elongation from what we already have?
In fact, the most important item for reform in that Electoral Act is the status of IREV and BVAS. IREV and BVAS, we understand, was not made legal. That means you cannot challenge any decision taken on the basis of IREV or BVAS before now. And so, based on that, the former INEC chairman, Yakubu Mahmood, used that particular discretionary concept to mess the last election up. And so everybody is now saying, look, in order to have a free and fair election, you must make IREV and BVAS legally binding. Any vote that did not pass through this medium is null and void. And so the ruckus caused by this development is well acknowledged by the National Assembly. And so today, I believe that they are going to work towards this reform, so that we will now know that whoever wins is the winner, not an election manipulated by anybody to give another person victory. And so that's what we expect.
Okay. Now, Barrister, I still want to stay on the status of the constitutional powers binding on the IREV and the BVAS. Looking at this particular situation, Barrister, some have said that this present National Assembly would not want to work against itself on trying to making it a binding law that any election that has nothing to do with the IREV and the BVAS would be null and void. There are conversations about the fact that the Senate might not even look in that direction, because what they are looking in the direction is on the part of vote buy-in and, of course, voter apathy as well for inmates. Now, Barrister, as it stands, would the status of IREV and BVAS be changed in these present reforms? Plus, Barrister, is Nigeria truly ready for such a technological development as concerning our election?
If they don't, it may cause problem. And that problem is what all of us want to avoid. Because if IREV and BVAS were not used legally, people may not have faith in the election, and they may not even come out to vote. And so the onus is on the National Assembly to do the needful so that people can have confidence in the election. If they don't, then the shame will be on them, not on me or anybody, because they have the opportunity to do the right thing so that Nigeria can move forward. And now they are, for whatever reason, look, whether you do it or now or tomorrow, the fact remains that it will be done. So don't look at laws when they are made, whether it will benefit you or not. No. Your children may benefit from it. You know, the country will benefit from it. So why not do the right thing and forget about the pecuniary gain you want to make out of it? It will not help us if we begin to make law to suit us. That means no law will be made. Because the next person will say, okay, I want to change this law to suit me. The other person will come and say, this law is not good, or let's do it this way so that I will benefit from it. And so the beat goes on. That's not how laws are made, though.
No, Barrister, aside the fact that these laws may be made now or maybe in the future, again, I ask, is Nigeria truly ready for this level of technological development, owing to the fact that, first off, we're still battling with electricity supplies. And of course, internet access is not something that we can fully be boasting of. Is Nigeria truly ready for such a reform? Should it be passed tomorrow?
We are very, very ready. In fact, we are very enthusiastic about it. You know, you cannot wait until all the fault lines are corrected before you can do the right thing. No. You start with the right thing, then with time, every other thing will fall in place. So we are really ready based on the clamor for this electoral reform.
All right, then. Let's move to another conversation, Barrister. As it stands, there are reports that the Senate has begun moves to amend the 1999 Constitution to increase the federal government's share of revenue from the federation accounts. Now, lawmakers say the current formula does no longer reflect the center's responsibility. What do you make of this, Barrister? Increasing the federal government's share in federation account.
No. In a federal system like we claim to be practicing, it's only the two arms of government, the federal and states.
Yes.
This other one they are talking about local government, I don't know where it came from. That's just the simple truth. And so the federal government is not expected to be telling the states what to do and what not to do with their own money. Because you, the federal government, you are collecting the largest share. You start doing something with your own money, and then the share will be on the states if they don't do anything in their own states. So you lead the train, you lead the pack as the federal government by demonstrating that you know how to manage resources and all that. It is on that basis you cannot challenge the state government and ask them what are they doing that this thing is no. So we who goes to equity must go with clean hands. It is not allocating more funds to the federal government that is the issue here.
What's the issue?
Because already the federal government have enough resources. They are collecting. It's the management. David, the management of resources. This particular administration, they are not good in that. Because each time you are talking of money, I remember that a certain 210 trillion is missing somewhere in the NPCL. And up to today, nobody talking about it. Nobody. Is that not money? Imagine what that money could do to the economy of this country. Yet somebody or some people are with it. And they are using it to do all manner of things, compromise the system and all that. So the federal government should account for the money that are accrued to it first. Because the states are using whatever they are giving. So you that is the giver and the owner of the largest share, what are you doing with the money? All the things that you are supposed to be doing with that money as the federal government, are you doing them? Federal road, federal hospitals, federal schools. If you have done so well in this area, in fact, the states will be voluntarily, they'll be doing things on their own.
But Barrister, is there the possibility that the federal government seems overwhelmed with so much responsibility in their hands? Thus, the reason for the call for increase in the revenue they get? Because right now it's looking more like the net is expanding. Isn't that one of the reasons?
No, the federal government is not using the money accruing to them. They are not using it in a very frugal manner. The federal government have been very reckless with money. So they should not blame the states, because you are the father, the federal government. You're supposed to show good example. And so if you are not showing good example, why are you disturbing the states? They are learning from you now.
It's interesting you mentioned the fact that management has been the major bane of conversation when it comes to the federal government. There was, just an aside, Barrister, there was a news story I stumbled across early hours of this morning. It was in Punch newspaper, November the 28th, 2025, where the NNPCL has, in a statement, a report, that the NNPCL spent 17.5 trillion naira securing fuel pipelines and others in just 12 months. Barrister, even after the subsidies gone conversation and we have more money, if 17.2 trillion naira securing pipeline for a nation that has armed forces, Barrister?
I have told you here that management is the issue here. That is 17 trillion naira in 1 year. You and I know that there is, in fact, there is fraud there. There is lies there. You know, there is deceit there. What will you be policing with 17 trillion naira in 1 year?
Yet we're still borrowing.
Yes, and yet the pipelines are still busting. The Tantita contract they gave Tompolo, what happened with that one? And so you can see, if they want to justify where your money went to, they will cook up one project or the other and tie the money to that project and say, this is where we spend the money. That is not fair now. So the federal government have been very, very profligate when it comes to managing the resources of this country. Very, very profligate.
Now, Barrister, you did say earlier that the states are looking at the body language of the federal government. Thus, the reason why they also do not even invest more when they get their funds. Barrister, there's a conversation surrounding defection of state governors that are not in the ruling party. One of the statements is the fact that the state governors seem to be assured of federal support on some of the projects in their state. Should it get to that level for the federal to do more on some of the roads, particularly, that are linked to them to have been gotten done?
It is now, you know, when I mentioned how the federal government behaves, you know, it looks like a child's play, but it is the reality. Why would you tie an allocation of a state to the state belonging to your party? Why? This is statutory allocation. This is constitutional allocation. You don't need to do it because the state is coming to your party. I remember in those days of MPN, MPP and all that, Mbakwe, who used to be the only governor of MPP from the southeast, you know, whenever he comes to Lagos to collect, they will be dribbling him up and down. At a point, they were calling the man a whipping governor because he is only one in MPP, and they are forcing him to come to MPN because MPN was the ruling party. So all these things does not show leadership. It is very ridiculous and very childish. So if all of them come into your party, what will now happen? What will now happen? That means you won't even know when you are gone wrong because no opposition to criticize you, no opposition to tell you where you are making mistakes, no opposition to challenge you. That is just the implication. And in a democracy, yes, opposition is very, very necessary. In a democracy, opposition is sine qua non. In fact, it is compulsory. And so you are trying to dry them up so that what will not happen? Nobody can talk to you, nobody can challenge you, nobody can, provide alternative. it will not help us. Seriously, it will not.
All right, Barrister, let's still talk about this same increase in the federal government's allocation in the fact. There are concerns about the fact that state governments have started receiving more money. Barrister, looking at this significant increase, since, of course, the subsidy removal situation, should the state government and, of course, the people in extension truly and solely ask questions from their state and local government chairmen?
It is our responsibility to hold the government accountable, both to state and federal. In fact, this is where I call on the press to put these politicians on their toes by making inquiries. Go to government houses and ask questions on the project, on the money they are receiving, on everything under the sun. Ask them, because it is in the absence of this interrogation that the state government and the federal government are doing whatever they like. But if they know that the press is very vigilant and active, that the press is coming to ask questions, they will be very careful in using our money. That's just the simple truth.
Well, then again, questions again will be asked. Would the state government truly show reports of what they spend on every single allocation that they get every month?
It is when you ask them, yes. When you, the press, ask them, they will be shocked. That's just the simple
Barrister,
truth.
if the federal government has not declared what they used the last year's budget for, do you think the states will do the same?
Like we are running 3 budgets and whatever for reasons best known to APC-led administration. But that does not stop the press from asking questions. You know, that is your responsibility, the fourth estate of the realm. So it is your duty, your responsibility to go and ask government officials, this is what is going on here. This what is going on here. And they don't have any other choice than to answer you, reply you, so that you coach them and let the people now know what is going on. I cannot sit down here and speculate. Let them tell us first.
All right, then, Barrister, let's move to another conversation. Interestingly, some good news coming from the Nigerian army, and I'm talking about the troops of Operation Hadinkai have destroyed 3 Islamic States West African province detention facilities deep in the Timbuktu Triangle, of course, killing 32 fighters. Now, in that same victory news, we also have in the news today some unfortunate incidents where bandits kill police officers and 4 others in Benue State. Barrister, the situation of insecurity in Nigeria is something that we'll keep talking about, and we're hoping that we get it right as we move forward. In fact, even in Kwara State, bandits killed 10 and burn homes in Kwara State. I'm trying to model up these stories together so we can have an understanding of what exactly we are looking at. But another interesting one, Barrister, is the fact that the Nigerian military aircraft fleets have totaled 159 units in 2026. Is this hope for the fight against insecurity, Barrister?
There will always be hope where there is the will. I don't believe that there's any terrorist organization or group that can defeat a government. No, it can never happen, except that government is complicit in what is going on. If the government is determined to finish this thing today, all it needed is to give the necessary order to the military. That's just the truth. We will overcome all these things if we remove those behind the sponsor and all that. And all these things depend on the government. Yes, it depends on the government, because it is the government that is the driving force here.
Well, Barrister, in the 2026 budget, there seemed to be some increase in the allocation for the security network. Should that also be a cheering news, owing to the fact that there would be much more funding on the part of security?
As it is today, the budget we have is more than enough. It's a question of using it resourcefully, managing what has been given. The military have been well funded, except they are asking for our head now. Apart from that, we have funded this military properly. Let them use the money judiciously and tackle this menace. That is what we expect from them. Because since Buhari era till now, the military has been having a large chunk of our money. They have. And so we don't see any result. That's why some of us are angry.
Barrister, with this contrasting statement I just made now, because we also see some military personnel take onto social media platforms to complain of their welfare. Should we believe what is being told by the government as concerning allocation to the military, or should we believe the reality of some of these personnel coming out publicly to talk about their welfare, how they've been poorly being funded?
It is said that they are giving 1,500 naira a day for their meal. But the combatants in the battlefield are complaining that the money doesn't get to them. Their line managers are always keeping this money and all that.
Barrister, even 1,500, sorry to butt in there, even 1,500 cannot give a major balanced diet meal, one meal. So 1,500 for military personnel who are supposed to be not just well-fed, but also motivated. Is that some figure that we should be celebrating?
Nobody is talking of balanced diet now, David.
I'm talking about taking care of the military personnel.
1.5 cannot take care of your meal in the first place, based on how expensive foodstuffs are and all that.
Right.
So we are talking of a situation whereby you show some level of concern, some level of inclusiveness, some level of sympathy, some level of recognition for what these guys are doing at the battlefield. That is the meaning of, that is the purpose of that money. To know that, yes, somebody is fighting somewhere on our behalf. When you give them that money, it gives them a sense of belonging. It shows that, yes, government is looking after their welfare and all that. That is the purpose. So if the money is not getting to them, then they should ask their line managers. That's just the simple truth. You can no longer blame the government on this particular case, because the money had to pass through somebody,
right,
to get to somebody. You cannot expect those in Nassau to say, yeah, line up all of you, come and be collecting 1.5. No, they will pass it through their line managers.
All right, then. Thank you so very much, Barrister Darlington Agumo, for joining the conversation. We've been talking with Barrister Darlington Agumo, who is a legal practitioner right here in Nigeria and also a public and political affairs analyst. Once again, thank you so very much, Barrister, for being here.
My pleasure.
We'll take a very short break now. When we return, Lagos Assembly orders stop to Makoko demolitions amid government's defense. These and more when we return after this break. Please stay with us. Glad to have you back. It is still the Media News right here on Voice of the People Television. Now to more stories. The Lagos State House of Assembly has ordered a halt to the demolition exercise at Makoko Waterfront. Chairman of the Ad hoc Committee, Nohim Adams, said the 40-member assembly, on behalf of Speaker Modoshiro Basa, directed all ministries to stop demolitions in Makoko, Akwagbon, and Shogunru immediately. Adams assured residents that the order would be fully enforced and that compensations will be provided to those affected. The order follows protests by hundreds of displaced residents last week, which led to arrest of some activists. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government maintains the demolitions are a life-saving measure, not an attempt to displace the community. Our correspondent reports this.
Alongside Ikeja, Lagos State officials defended the recent demolitions in Makoko, stressing that the exercise was strictly for public safety. Many of the affected wooden structures were built directly under high-tension power lines, posing serious risk to residents.
Was even drawing attention to Venice. As you look at a city like Venice, now Venice is built on water. And I thank him for drawing my attention to that. I told him that a few months ago I was in Venice, that I've been to Venice a couple of times, one of the cities that I love visiting. And that what you have in Venice, can you compare to what you have in Mexico? In Venice, the local authorities say the thriving one, the flourishing oil block, they go to Makoko and portray the people as being very poor, and portray the people as people who are pushed to be living in the conditions in which they are living by the government, and portray them as people who are hopeless. But they do not know that that is one side of Makoko that they have seen. But then, we all know what is behind all of this. They send such pictures overseas and tell the world that there have been a lot of things in Nigeria. Some will even go to Makoko on their birthdays and begin to share drinks and all of that, as if the people are beggars. I think this idea of denigrating people in order to promote yourself and your interests is very bad.
The special advisor to the governor on EGIS, urban renewal, Dr. Babatunde Olajide, says the urban regeneration is a top priority for the Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration. He explained that the plans aim to create a safe and conducive environment for residents while improving infrastructure and sanitation.
If we do not do them, then we are endangering the lives of the people that we signed and swore and vote to protect. As a result of that, you have something, areas are being classified action areas. This governor has actually not classified any area as an action area. This has been done during the time of Asiwaju, during the time of BRF, during the time of Governor Ambode. But you see, we cannot continue to just designate areas, do you have something, as slum areas or blighted areas, when we have not even tackled the ones that we have on ground. There is no need to be trying to go to other areas. So we are only still dealing with the things that we found in the books. However, we need to do it, and I've explained all of these things to you. These are things that we have to do in a systematic way. We have to do it according to international conventions. What did we all sign to at the Rio de Janeiro conference in 1992 in Brazil is that everybody is entitled to adequate shelter. Adequate, not shelters that are dangerous.
Dr. Olajide revealed that the state has committed $2 million as counterpart funding for Makoko regeneration, with an additional $8 million expected from the United Nations agencies. Residents affected by safety-related demolitions in Palirura, Oniru, Bombata Market, and other areas have been compensated. The government confirms the core Makoko fishing settlement was untouched. Officials emphasized that the Water City project and broader regeneration of the waterfront communities will continue to design to protect lives while improving living conditions for the residents. From Alausa Ikeja, I am Monica Ogolo, reporting for VOP TV.
Thank you so very much, Oyeka, for that report. Moving on, the need for interconnected platforms to boost trade, talent, and heritage in Africa took center stage at a Lagos News Conference announcing activities for this year's African Continental Free Trade Area Festival scheduled for Abuja. Stakeholders also called for continental roadmap to ensure inclusive AfCFTA implementation. Voice of the People TV's correspondent Praise Peters reports.
Drive toward deeper integration in trade, talent, and culture took center stage in Lagos as stakeholders converged for a press conference ahead of AfterFest. Africa Connected Through Trade, Talent, and Culture, and this is scheduled to hold in Abuja this March. The lawmaker, Desmond Elliott, welcomed guests and underscored the importance of the festival as a platform for promoting African culture and strengthening continental identity.
This is now a broader means by which you can connect with other African brothers and sisters, in sharing ideas, innovation, creativity, and all whatnot. So this is a platform that is being birthed to us to utilize and to help for the growth and the better economic improvement of Africa and us individually. Individual countries, individual selves. It's basically it's far-reaching. So to everyone coming from different perspectives and different reasons, you can get answers to. In a nutshell, that's what you call it. But it's creating that platform. So as you know, this is the press conference intimating people of what is to come in March. So basically connecting through 54 African countries, bringing them under one roof, having your own idea being shared and accepted from other parts of the continent, I think is mind-blowing and fantastic.
Project's lead, engineer Mandy, presented the vision of AfterFest as an Africa for Africa initiative designed to solve ecosystem challenges by connecting business, innovation, talent, and culture.
We have decided to do Africa for Africans. It's about time that we come together. It doesn't matter wherever you are in your career or whoever you are, wherever your business is. It's time for us to come together, identify the existing problems, identify the existing bottlenecks, the things that are preventing us from scaling up, talk about them, and then we find sustainable solutions for these problems so we can scale. And that's the only way we can build Africa. It's a collaborative approach. It's not a competitive approach, because it is a platform which is an ecosystem build where each and every one of us come with our different and unique skills, put them together and build a structurized project in it that empowers each and everyone and each and every businesses. That is the only
innovation, unity, and excellence, describing the festival as a step towards building legacy and empowering Africans to shape their own future.
We also want to be able to push the narrative that Africa has a lot of talents that are not valued as they are supposed to be valued. There are young sports talents that are bought from South America, they are bought from other parts in Europe. But if you look at some of the big clubs in Europe, it's African players that are doing most of the work. So through these, we want to have platforms where we talk about how can we change the value of African sports people so that we can begin to compete in the market based on what the statistics shows. The statistics shows that a lot of Premier League clubs will not do well without African teams in Spanish league and in other leagues. And again, so you could see that with the AFCON that just concluded. You see the value that African players bring. So we want to discuss that and see how we change the value. When we change the value for African players, we want to make sure that when African players, they make a move, a lot of that resources comes back to the local area where they came from to develop it, create small football stadiums, give scholarship, build infrastructure. So we want to put that in some very organized plan. And that's one of the reasons I'm very passionate about the whole football sector part of it.
Organizers say AfterFest aims to mobilize young people, support entrepreneurs, spotlight African excellence, and position the continent as one integrated market.
Africa's future is being shaped by ideas, innovation, and collaboration. AfterFest is not just a festival, it is a meeting point for trade, talent, and culture across continents. As March 2026 comes closer, expectations are high to open new doors of opportunities for millions across Africa. From Lagos, I am Praise Peters, reporting for Voice of the People Television.
Thank you so very much, Praise, for that report. From there on, let's move to some business stories. The Naira rebounded sharply against the dollar at the official foreign exchange market on Tuesday. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria showed the Naira rose to 1,372 Naira 91 kobo per dollar, up from 1,390 Naira 36 kobo on Monday, a day-to-day gain of 17 Naira 45 kobo. This marks one of the biggest daily appreciations since October 2nd, 2024, when the central bank introduced the electronic foreign exchange margin system. At the black market, the Naira also strengthened, rising to 1,400 Naira per dollar from around 1,470 Naira the previous day. The gains is both official and parallel market comes as Nigeria's foreign reserve climbed to $46.59 billion on February the 2nd, up from $46.28 billion at the end of January. This follows Monday's drop of the Naira against the dollar at the official parallel market. And from that business story, we'll go straight talking sports. Nigeria Super Falcons will open camp on February the 20th ahead of the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations. Coach Justin Magudu's side will train in Abuja before traveling to Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire for the Wafu B Invitational Tournament. Ghana and Senegal will also feature in the competition, scheduled for February the 27th to March the 7th. The defending champions are expected to play additional friendly matches as part of their WAFCON preparations. The tournament will also serve as Africa's qualifier for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil, with the 4 semi-finalists earning tickets. Nigeria have been drawn in Group C alongside Zambia, Egypt, and Malawi. From that sports story, let's go straight talking entertainment. Renowned American gospel musician and worship leader Ron Kenoly has died at the age of 81. The news was announced by his longtime music director Bruno Miranda on Kelly's official Instagram page. Kenoly, a pioneer of contemporary worship music, rose to global fame in the 1990s with 1992 album Lift Him Up, with Ron Kenoly producing enduring worship classics like Ancient of Days, Jesus is Alive, and We're Growing Up. Over his career, he released more than 20 albums, including God is Able and Welcome Home, and served as a pastor and worship leader at Jubilee Christian Center in San Jose, California. He was a regular at international worship conferences, mentoring teens and leading large-scale praise gatherings. Tributes have poured in from gospel artists, pastors, and fans worldwide, including Nigerian minister Nathaniel Bassey, praising his influence on modern worship. The cause of his death has not been disclosed, but memorial service details are expected soon. And with that particular entertainment story, we've come to the end of the midday news right here on Voice of the People Television. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we're at Voice of the People TV, and on all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Thank you so very much for being a part of this broadcast. I am David Edwin. Do have a good afternoon.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more.